Each of them is slightly different, but they always involve the souls of the dead, meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks. To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kirti. But whatever form this stranger took, I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again. Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river, but that never made any sense to me. In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we... So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not. No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help, I promise you. Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter, Orpheus, a Thracian poet, Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra, and Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide. It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would... All Romans try to avoid... You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to... Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from? That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Are you telling me that you... I won't pretend to understand exactly. So, if you... Who knows? But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking... The problem is, the door has been sealed. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from... However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides... That means you'll need to recover... Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their... If I were you, I'd go looking for them. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque. I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room. I'm afraid you're on your own with that one. As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage. If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels? Truly? And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Naevia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say? Fascinating. Perhaps she's a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out? Oh, I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a thread through this labyrinth. All right. I would suggest not discussing this. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone. In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
Ixion turns. Just as the ocean accepts the river, but it does. Say it. Then it is. I thought I saw it, but I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I was deceived. I must apologize if my words seem cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the metamorphoses by how great he gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot. I will do my best. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead the wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, there the bloodless shadows wander without flesh. Others follow their trades, imitating. I hope I have done it, and now we share a secret.
Fortune smile on you,
I
sister.
love
General
your
mind.
clothes. So exotic.
You there? No idea, Amy. And before you ask, no. But tell me, do you have any idea how? And here I was thinking I was the only one of. Supposedly, one or two of those arrows is enough to turn a full-grown man into gold. Now, of course, that is a travesty. A terrible, horrible.
Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and Marcus Malleolus Gurges. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Malleolus.
Dacius.
Malleolus.
Galerius.
I abstain. I'm just here to observe.
Virgil.
Malleolus.
Rufius.
Malleolus.
And finally, Domitius.
Malleolus. Who else?
Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Marcus Malleolus Gurges.
Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. I said, hail Magistrate Malleolus. That's more like it.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted. Under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. No more shall you walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden. For my first act as magistrate, I hereby announce a day of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is no more.
It's real, you idiot.
For his attempt to deceive us all, Sentius is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
What? I have committed no crimes. This is madness.
His sentence, to fight for his life in gladiatorial combat against Domitius. Here and now for your entertainment.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait. I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
This is insanity. You doom us all.
Lies! It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is. A children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Salve, friend. Mind telling... Oh. Yulia? Oh no. All right, I can... All right, let me see. Stop Fabia going in, but send the new arrival to the empty shrine. I'll go, but once I...
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no.
No. No, 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 no. Ulpius, what?
I'm sorry.
Help. Thank you.
Well, you don't... If I backed out... Oh, really? But we're still in debt. Really? Wait. You'd do that for us? It seems today we're both blessed. Thank you, friend. Thank you. I'll go and pay off our debts immediately. I just wish there was some way I could repay you. I'll go and take care of things with Malleolus and tell Yulia the good news.
Salve, friend.
Shalom. You mean where am I from and all that? Judea. But when I was a child, I moved to Rome with my family. Romanized my name and spent most of my life in the Jewish district of Trans-Tiberim, across the Tiber from the main city. That's where I was when the fires broke out. Everyone was running toward the river, and I, listening to my inner contrarian, ran the other way. Every road leading out of Rome was in chaos, full of people with all their belongings in carts, and brigands preying on them. Several hours down the Appian Way, I saw another Jewish family being attacked by 3 opportunists. So I picked up a bribe. I can only assume they got the better of me. It's strange, though, because I still had my purse on me. Why would a robber? A lot of good it did me. And that family. I sometimes wonder what... Scintilla and I were in love. All right. One night a few months ago, when I was cleaning Malleolus's villa, I wasn't allowed out. And that's when I saw her. I just sat there on the roof, listening to her with my... And then she looked up and saw me, and... And from the moment she asked my name with this warmth, and so for weeks on end, we'd hold hands and talk about all the things we... And then one morning I woke up and all I could do was keep my head down. All I know is she loved me. And if she had known a way, she'd never have taken her own life. I can't prove it, but I just know she's still alive somehow. Somebody abducted her. I don't know what I have to say. My guess? Malleolus had... I have no idea where he'd be keeping her. But there is... I've never seen the inside of it. And I haven't been able to steal a key without breaking the golden rule. But I have a feeling that if you could get in there somehow, it would shed light on a great... Really? I was sure he was hiding something in there. I feel like I've looked everywhere. At least everywhere I could get to. There are still 2 places I've never been able to reach. First, the palace. If Navia managed to get in, then I suppose Scintilla could have too. The only other place she could be is somewhere in the Cistern network. I remember hearing that Dooley had been poking around in the upper Cistern before he was locked up. So you could ask him about it, I suppose. All right, friend.
A fellow traveler from Greeting. I hope...
Ah, a new face. I hear... Nice to... You there!
no idea, but tell me, do you have any idea how? And here I was thinking, supposedly 1 or 2 of those arrows is enough. Now, of course, that is a trap. I can't help but think of a tale with the ability to transmute organic. Use your imagination, golden animals, and even if we were to split all up. Look, I might have skimmed over that one, but don't be. Excellent. So the first question is, how do we get our hands on one of those golden bows? Now, I have a plan, but first, tell me, are you familiar with the story of the goddess? No problem. Diana is our goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the underworld, depending on who you ask. The one thing priests and poets agree on is that she carried with her a golden bow and a quiver of golden arrows. And it just so happens that there is a shrine of Diana in this very forum, with a prominent statue of the goddess herself. And would you like to guess what she's holding in her hand? Precisely. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent in that temple staring at it, trying to figure out how to retrieve it without breaking you-know-what. Oh, gods, no. If you tried that, we'd all be dead within moments, I'm sure. No, here's what I propose. You give your bow to me, I cover it in a thin layer of gold leaf, and we create a replica of a golden bow. Then, you enter the shrine, extinguish the braziers, and under cover of darkness, swap out the fake for the original. It's not theft exactly, it's more of a trade. But make no mistake, this is a dangerous path, and there's no way of knowing where it will lead. But in my experience, all the best adventures begin with a risky first step. Now, you must... Because the gods... I'm more of an ideas man, whereas you're obviously the more resourceful and heroic type. When Prometheus stole fire from the gods and became a hero to... Only because he was silly enough to get caught. So, are you in, partner? Wonderful. Now, if you'll hand over your bow, I can get started applying a layer of gold leaf. This is a quality weapon. And here we... Now, I've gone and unlocked the Shrine of Diana for you, so as quick as you can, head on inside. It's just at the end of the street on the left. May the gods not watch over you.
Greetings and salutations.